Susan Lewis Kaler, President and CEO of St. Vincent Family Center. What an amazing week we've had, celebrating our 2021 Corcoran Award winners. I am humbled by and grateful for each and every one of these passionate and generous individuals who have given their time, their talent, and their treasures to support our work with families and children. We are also grateful for our generous sponsors and community partners who made today possible. For years, we've taken pride in helping good kids get better. Every day, we strive to help children heal and succeed in life. And over time, we've become more than experts in pediatric behavioral health care. We help support families. We strengthen communities. And we go wherever in the community we're needed. Our roots span wider than our campus on 1490 East Main Street. We are more than the walls that bind us on this campus. We are more than a center. We are St. Vincent Family Services, and we help families build bright futures. It is my great joy to welcome you to St. Vincent Family Services Virtual Roundtable, hosted by the talented, committed, expert staff.
I'm going to plant you. You're looking right here. And hold on. Ready.
Hello, welcome to St. Vincent Family Center Virtual Roundtable. Today we will be talking about a subject that a lot of us are anxious to talk about, conquering our summer. This is our opportunity to share tips with family, young people, grandparents, caregivers, whoever may come in contact with children or who've been in contact with children over the course of this past year. We're excited to talk about services that are our core services, who we are, and what we do is helping families overcome challenges. And for me and others, summer represents many different feelings. Some of us are happy for summer to come. Some of us are very, very anxious about summer. We have tips today that will help you, help your child, help your student, help you move through this next phase of our summer. So today I'm very honored to have some very esteemed guests, some of my colleagues with me today. I'm very pleased. These are the folk who are managing some of the core services that St. Vincent's offer. We have Amber Lentz. Her team manages all of the outpatient therapy, those traditional therapies, those community-based services that children and families come to St. Vincent's and benefit from. We have Maurice Nowlin, who has the boots on the ground staff who are out in the community. Thanks to the generous donations of our Franklin County Adam Board, we have folk in the schools, in the communities. We're providing those prevention services. We get a chance to hear a lot from families of what some of their needs are. And we have Joanne Holcomb, our early childhood mental health specialist, who has been with us for some years, providing that special services to daycares and preschool, helping them identify high-risk children, providing strategies and trainings on how to move forward. So today we'll spend some time talking about one of the subjects that a lot of families are, I know if I'm a parent and a professional, but I always sometimes wonder, how do I keep my child engaged and supported in the summer? Sometimes it's lack of structure for folk. Different families have different routines, but all of us at some point have to wonder, how do we keep our children engaged? So that's our first topic today. Hopefully we can give you some tips on how to make that work, how to keep our families engaged. Can we give folks some tips on that?
Sure. One of the things that we've noticed when working in the community and speaking with parents and students and just the children and population in general, we've been forced to take on technology quicker than most and trying to really find our footing with using the computers always in front of a screen. It's been force-fed to us. So I say the number one tip that I've been telling people is, once we get to a comfortable state, is to go back to the basics. Getting back out into the neighborhood, nature, your people, starting to build those relationships again. That's a big thing. Um, you know, my daughter, she has went on several virtual field trips, and she's like, Dad, it's just not the same. She looks at me, she's like, this isn't the zoo, you know. So, you know, finding things like that and getting out to some of the community supported events once they start to open back up, I think is really key. That's the number one thing I tell people. You know, if you have to go to a picnic or do something outside, definitely get back to nature and just finding that and getting to the basics.
I think that's a really good point, Maurice. And another positive thing about being outdoors is getting children more in the sunlight. We know that sunlight is the primary source of vitamin D.
Yeah.
And vitamin D deficiencies can contribute to depression in children and adults as well. So getting outside more is a really awesome thing. I would support that for sure. Another thing that I have been recommending to a lot of families is something that we would do with a suggestion in family therapy often when we're working on trying to have parents engage their kids in conversation and looking at positive times that they've had is talking about their family traditions. And one of the things, sometimes it's family traditions, things that you do during the holidays or the summertime. It may be an annual tradition, but it could also be things that you do on a, daily, weekly, monthly basis. Like, what are the things that your family does? Do you always eat dinner together as a family? Do you have certain things that you always do every week together? But start identifying those, brainstorm them together, see if everybody has the same ideas as to what your family traditions are. Maybe it's time to decide if something needs to be modified, or do you want to start any new family traditions? Those are just good ways to engage and connect and find out what are interesting for kids. I know that, I try to do what I suggest to others, and we did this with my own family. And it was an interesting conversation. I realized that over this past year, I have really wanted to make sure that at our agency we've been able to provide the highest quality clinical, therapeutic services, even in a new format, since we've been doing, video-based therapy. So I've spent a lot of extra energy and effort into, coming up with the best ways to do that, the, virtual formats that you can do play therapy and how to really engage in that way. And in doing so, working a lot of extra hours. So when we had this conversation with my own family, it was actually my 16-year-old son who says to me, Mom, one of our family traditions was a family game night every week, but we haven't been doing that in a while. And so that was really insightful for me to realize that it was something important to him, and that, I didn't realize, I guess part of my mind was like, I'm busy doing this, and he hasn't really said anything, and maybe he's grown out of it. But he hasn't. And neither is my other son. They both said, no, we need to get this back into our weekly schedule, which was good information for me, so we have. Other families may find something. I actually had a funny conversation this past week with a mom who told me they had this same kind of conversation. And they have been, for years, they've had Taco Tuesdays. And they cook together the whole meal. Even the youngest of the kids would get the cheese out and cut up vegetables and everything. And that part was great. But when they had this conversation about their family traditions, they found out that everybody has been burned out on tacos for a long time. But they still did it because they enjoyed the atmosphere of cooking together, and that was the fun part. But everybody's sick of tacos, so now they're going to keep the cooking part together, but it's going to be anything but tacos Tuesday night from now on.
I think that's a good point, Amber, because sometimes we can do something for so long and it becomes routine, and it may not be quite as satisfying. So I think taking the time to talk and ask questions about, how's this feeling for you? How does this work for you? So that's a very good point. And I like how you raised that it's happening for your 16-year-old as well as your younger child. So that's a good point. There's a lot of tips that we can give, but a lot of them really go across age group. Listening to children applies to any age, whether they're teenagers, 20-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds. Listening, getting a feel, even if they don't have the words to say what they're enjoying, sometimes picking up on those vibes that they're giving out, I think is key.
And I think, what you all have highlighted as well is the connection piece. know, the meal, the tacos may change, but the connection's still gonna be there, because they're gonna still
Right,
keep that
right. And that's what's
mealtime.
important, right? The
Exactly,
connection.
Exactly. And I love that you're saying you're using your daily experiences, or your daily routine to create experiences that promote that connection. A lot of, my sister's a teacher, and I was talking with her yesterday, and a lot of families will ask, even in my role as an early childhood mental health consultant, what can I do with my child over the summer, right, to keep them growing and learning, and even academically they want to know. And so something else I thought of just listening to you, how much opportunity there is within our daily routine to continue to help kids grow. So for example, spending time outside at the park, right? We're talking about those outdoor experiences and really being there live, like your daughter said. And then depending on the age, you know, I work with birth through 5, there's so many opportunities. There's colors outside, there's counting outside, there's letters outside, there's opportunities to jump and run and build gross motor skills, build, you know, their brain, build social skills, you know, coaching them to take turns with you. There's so many opportunities where you don't have to create extra work, right? For some parents that are working, it's like, now we got to keep them engaged in the summer. But just use your everyday routine to connect and continue to help them grow.
What about parents who are concerned that their child may have missed some steps academically in the fall because of the Zoom classrooms? Are there any tips we should give them on slowing down and not necessarily feeling like they have to make up that time, or just letting kids be themselves? Sometimes kids just need to be themselves, right?
Yeah.
I definitely would say when it comes to that, understand this has been stressful for everybody involved. This hasn't just impacted the adults.
Right.
This has also impacted the children. And being able to, you know, let's call this summer mulligan almost. You know, just enjoy, let your hair down, relax. You know, start to refine yourself and understand, you know, what makes you happy and different things like that. So yes, you want to keep your child as much educational focus as possible, but understand that this year's been one of the most difficult years I know since I've been around. So this is the perfect time to really, like you said, we get back to the basics. We use the environment around us to help learn, but also really start to learn your child, learn yourself again. So I think that's a big thing.
Great tips there. So we have a video that I want to invite folk to look at, an idea to keep children engaged. One of our specialists have put a lot of work into creating this video for us, so please watch.
To build upon their emotional and physical well-being, and one of the best ways to do that is through playful opportunities that encourage creativity and curiosity. Daily Challenges is one method for keeping children engaged over the summer and for providing intentional yet playful experiences that support skill building. Daily Challenges can include things like creating a card for a friend or a family member, finding 3 objects around the house that remind them of their favorite family vacation, or creating a theme park out of blocks and toys, drawing a picture of themselves as what they would look like as a character in their favorite video game, or even something like creating an obstacle course outside or in the living room. The possibilities are endless, and children can even help create their own challenges. And the best part is that these are all activities that help children build self-esteem, confidence, and other vital social and emotional skills. Daily challenges are fairly easy to make. They can even be written out on a whiteboard, or they could be put in a jar for challenges to be chosen at random. Not only is this a great way to keep children engaged over the summer, it's also a way for families to connect and spend time with one another.
Challenges. I love Miss Cassie's videos. Sometimes I go on YouTube and look at her ideas that she offers. So as we think of summer, and we talked about keeping children engaged, there's one big component of the summer, and that's parents and caregivers. I'd like for us to spend a few minutes just talking about how to help parents, caregivers recharge and focus on their wellness. They too have come through a very non-traditional year. So as we look at our recovery, and I see this as recovery, how do we help parents move forward so again they can hit a reset, recharge, and conquer this thing called summer?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Regina. I know you and I have talked before about how difficult it is and how different it has been for parents, that they've been playing multiple roles this year. Many parents feel like they've had to be teacher and principal, and and it's created a lot of stress and sometimes conflict between them and their child as they're having to, discipline in an area that they're not used to doing before, and these power struggles that they have gotten into with some, and it's become, difficult for parents. So, one of the first things that I would say is enjoy some time and not having the power struggles over school, getting to take a step away from that. And another thing that I would say, and it's something that we've reminded families of often over the years as we have worked with them, is making sure to giving themselves permission. Because many times parents really do tend to prioritize their children and their family, and as a parent I understand that.
Yeah, that's how we were trained as parents, right?
Absolutely. I always feel my children are going to come first. But sometimes, we've worked with parents that have, put so much of themselves out there for their kids that they've gotten to themselves to a place of emotional burnout and exhaustion. And when they do, they don't have as much to give back. I know sometimes I've given parents the metaphor of flying in an airplane. And if you've never flown in an airplane before, I'll tell you this part of the safety procedures that they go over is that if you lose, cabin pressure, that the oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling. And they tell you to put the oxygen masks on yourself. If you're flying with small children, put your own on before you put the children on. And for years when I heard that, I didn't, think that much about it until I was a parent. And my gut reaction to that was, what? No, I want to take care of my child first. But the reality is that if you pass out from lack of oxygen, then you're not there and available to attend to the needs of your child. So the same is true with your emotional needs now, is that it is important to take that time for you in whatever degree possible. And I know that time can be a challenge, just carving out that time. I've talked to families who have, been able to take 15 minutes a day, and even if it's only 15 minutes, it's their time. I know a mom who locks herself in a bathroom for 15 minutes a day, puts pillows in the bathtub, sits and reads a book or magazine, or just to say, this is my time. So that's the first step, is giving yourself permission.
Yeah, and I have a perfect example you made me think about of a mom that I worked with last summer, and her daughter was struggling, as many of us were in the pandemic, right? We're inside, we're not as active, we're eating more, and just having some body image issues. And I was so impressed with this mom. She had 8 children, so she was busy. Not a lot of time for carving out time for this self-care, right? But I was so impressed. What she did was she started making little changes in how she grocery shopped. So buying healthier foods, buying water to drink, in place sometimes of those sugary drinks. And her daughter began to be inspired. They began to make meals together and create snacks together. And I just began to see this transformation in both of them. The mom was re-energized and recharged. She felt better. And as she connected with her daughter and shared that experience in their daily routine of mom taking care of herself, now the daughter was taking care of herself and her mood improved. So just really thinking about, in our day-to-day experiences, what are the little changes that we can make to recharge ourselves? And you never know the impact, right? I mean, that impact on that daughter was powerful. And so being that role model as we take care of ourselves.
I like how you mentioned giving yourself grace and permission to stop, slow down, take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
Even if you have to watch a video on mindfulness, whatever you need to do to recharge, to teach yourself those steps, we all use them. And you mentioned time. Time may not necessarily have to be an hour, 30 minutes. It could be the 15 minutes. It could be the 5 minutes of quiet time. It could be taking a bath for 5 minutes. It could do a world of difference if you have the structure to do that. But the most important thing I think about is recognizing that you need to recharge. Parents need to recharge. This has been a challenging time for parents, and it just doesn't happen. You have to be intentional with it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Sometimes we need to rebuild some of our relationships. There are people support systems that we may not have used that could also help us in walking in the park or connecting with us that gives us energy. It's those things that's helpful for us to recharge. Some great tips, guys.
Yes. And I think another one that we all should probably look into is reclaiming our space. Our job has forced a lot of us to turn, the extra bedroom or the activity room into an office, or now the living room
Right.
has a million computers
Good
in there
point.
because that's where we work. So reclaiming those, if you have to repaint or turn that back into a living area where this is where we come to relax, where we watch movies together, where we play games together. Like you said, you have your game night. Reclaiming all of those spaces and really taking it back because, like I said, with this pandemic, some things have just completely changed the landscape of our household. So now it's time for us to take it back.
That's a very good point. I don't know if we really recognize how significant it has been for us to blend our lives in one space. I hear families or parents or adults saying, I'm experiencing some lightweight depression because I'm stuck at home. I'm not leaving. I am not able to go out. The time frame between work and home sometimes give you 5 minutes to breathe, if not 15.
Right.
So that's a great point, Maurice, reclaiming that space, taking the computer down, taking the Zoom meetings down for the classrooms, all those things that can help us out. So those are thinking of self-care. We have another video that we'd like to share with you on the art of self-care. I think Ms. Joanne put some time into creating that video. Thank you, Ms. Joanne. Please enjoy.
Greetings from St. Vincent Family Services. My name is Joanne Holcomb and I am an early childhood mental health consultant. Today, I would like to provide you with some tips to empower you as you take the opportunity to use this summer as a time to recharge. The tips I have focus on the art of self-care. ART is the acronym I created to help me remember what to do to recharge. A stands for acknowledge what is or isn't in your control. Very often when we are stressed, it is because we are focused on those things we can't control, like other people's actions and reactions, other people's words, and other people's behaviors. Instead, change your focus to what you can control: your thoughts, your responses, your actions. Make it a point to stop and ask yourself, am I focused on things I can control right now? Your feelings and mood will change as you choose to do this. Whenever I ask caregivers, what do you feel when you focus on what you can't control? The responses are usually words like anxious, angry, frustrated, and irritated. Then I ask, what do you feel when you focus on what you can control? And those responses are words like confident, calm, energized, and empowered. If I focus on what I can control, I am taking care of myself so I can give my best to those around me. Second, R is reflect on your own feelings and needs. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling. Name the feeling and why you might be feeling that way. Next, think about what you need at that moment and in the future. This seems like a big task, but it may just look like this. I'm feeling overwhelmed because there's a lot of new information coming at me about how my child's schooling will change. I need a 5-minute break. Then I need to write down my questions and identify a person with whom I can problem solve. And that person should be someone who is calm and able to help you think of positive solutions. Finally, T is take time for yourself to do something that is not technology related. Enjoy being outside, laugh with your children, spend time with a pet, do some deep breathing, take a walk. It doesn't have to take hours to get some self-care. Just make sure that you are taking at least a few minutes a day to recharge so you can bring the best of yourself to your daily responsibilities. And remember, self-care is not selfish, it is necessary. Thanks so much for watching.
We're coming out, so we're about to go live. 4, 3, might have been a little early. There.
Great video. Thanks, Joanne.
You're welcome.
As we're talking about parents and self-care, and I'm reminded of the core of who we are and what we do is centered on helping parents and caregivers, right? And the metaphor that you used about taking care of yourself before you try to throw out the lifeline to your children is so important. And that's what we talk about every single day with parents. Taking care of yourself so that you can be a healthy caregiver for your babies. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I feel like there may be some other tips that we can share just to reach some of those other parents, some things that they're going through, recognizing again the core of who we are is with parents. We do believe that parents are the vehicle for change in families.
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of our name, St. Vincent Family
Absolutely.
Services.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You
I
know,
was thinking that.
And, you know, when you were talking, sharing your example earlier, it's one of the things we say often is that we model for our children all the time. They learn so much more watching what we do than what we say.
Yeah.
And so, you know, modeling positive choices, good self-care for us is just showing for kids. Another thing that is, it sounds like some effort to begin with, but it actually ends up, you know, giving a positive result in the end, which decreases stress in the overall long haul is we've talked a lot about when you give attention to something with a child, the more attention you give to it, the more of that behavior you get in return.
Right.
And so often we encourage families to really notice and pay attention to positive behaviors in their children. And so again, that sounds like work for parents, but taking the time to do that will help decrease some of the negative behaviors.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we know about children is that when they're trying to connect with us, when they want our attention and that connection, they'll do it in any means, and they're not always logical about it, and they don't always choose positive behaviors to get our attention.
Right.
So if we want them to do more positive behaviors, we give more attention to it. One of the activities that I encourage families to do sometimes is to come up with like a family awards night where they're like keeping track of the positive things they see in their kids, and identifying some fun things to do as awards at the end of the week. And it could be, it could be homemade, trophies. It could be, I know one family who took this challenge on, and they ended up buying cans of soda because they don't normally do sugar drinks at all in their home. So just as a special treat, they got it. That was their trophy, was their award, was their can of soda. And as they did this, they, came up with different categories for different things that they were looking for. This mom took around a notebook with her throughout the week. She recorded things that she saw so that she could, reflect back on it later. And the kids ended up giving mom an award too.
Oh, wow.
So, it could be kind of a fun thing that the kids can identify. What award would I give mom this week?
Yeah,
Creative. That's so true. What you focus on, you'll get more of, right? We can think about that in a practical sense. If I have 2 plants and one I focus on and tend to and water and cultivate, the other one I don't, which one's going to grow, right? And so I think about that principle I've seen that work so many times with, in the classroom with teachers and at home with families. So just really, I think too, we have to remember, as parents, we've been through a lot this year, right? And the kids have too.
Yeah.
They've had to take on a lot of new information and maybe haven't always felt really good at
Yeah.
it, trying to manage all
Right.
this new stuff. And so being able to focus on the positive and their strengths, however small,
Yeah.
however
Right.
small, and notice that, oh, you just gave that to your brother, you shared, right? And, you know, I'm also thinking like young children, their brains are still developing, so we want to highlight those behaviors that we want to grow and develop. And so focusing on those things, celebrating those things. And you'll notice you will start to see more of that because the children like that connection with you as you're noticing those
And in the long run, it
things.
reduces your stress because you're not in a battle with them all the time
Exactly.
over the negative
Right.
behavior.
Good
It's
point.
more, you know, fun and relaxed in your home.
Right, well, cooperation follows connection.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm connected with you, you're going to be more likely to want to respond to me.
Yeah, and I think also another thing that you can try and do is find where things that you enjoy coming up and try to focus on that and try to incorporate your child in it. It might not always work, let's be honest. I tried to show my daughter some yo-yo tricks, and she looked at me as if I was an alien. She was like, Dad, what is this? You know, so it's different
You
things.
could tell her one of those jokes you have, Maurice.
See? Yes.
She tells him jokes.
Yeah, she tells me jokes, and it's
Yeah.
just she trying to come together and really like incorporate her. Like I know when I was coming up, my grandmother, she was a sewer, so there were little things that I would sit there, even though I didn't enjoy it at the time, but growing up, it's something that I could pass on. So, and you got to think about it. A lot of the traditions that you talk about, even with some of the older generations, they aren't getting passed down, and those are skills that will at one point be lost forever.
Yeah.
So trying to bridge that connection, like we talked about, and find the things that you enjoyed when you came up, and maybe it's something that you can also share with them.
Yes. And I think the most important thing is for parents to recognize, and caregivers, that you deserve a break. You deserve it. You deserve it. Hats off to you. You made it to the summer. You guys are winners out there. Take the time to take care of yourself. We all want everybody to last, to sustain themselves, to be back, make it through the summer, through next year. The more we're managing that positive stress, right, the better we will be. If we turn the stress into negative stress, that's when we start experiencing more of the physical illnesses. So we want to make sure that we're managing that. We're modeling for the babies how to manage that stress. So thank you guys for those tips. The next piece of a life for a youngster, through the life of a youngster, from a parent to a professional, a teacher, not only a teacher, but other folk maybe they're coming in contact with. What can we give them as far as tips on how to use the summer to recharge and refresh themselves? Those professionals out there, they too have worked through this past year that's been difficult for them, whether they're a teacher or classroom assistant. Imagine being a classroom assistant on Zoom, knowing that you are still needed, but you can't touch the children, can't get to them. All of those professionals, as we talk about tips to help them recharge and rejuvenate during this, creating that work-life balance, right, for the summer.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This is an interesting time because we're just coming off of Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes, kudos to all the teachers out there.
Yes.
Thank you.
The work that you do is meaningful, it's valuable every day, it's powerful. And so this piece about helping you all to really take care of yourselves is crucial. And again, we've got some different staff out there. My sister's a teacher, she's not off for the summer. She's a preschool teacher, so she will continue, as will many of the teachers with whom I work, right? And then we have some teachers who are off for the summer. I'd like to share something that a teacher shared with me last fall that has stuck with me, and it's something that she put into place to help herself with that self-care. We all can set goals and say, every day when I get home from work, I'm going to walk, I'm going to get some movement in. Well, that can also become something you dread. Oh, I got to go home, I got to do this.
Right.
And she said to me, Joanne, what I did was I changed the way I thought about that. I told myself on the way home, I get to go for a walk when I get home. And she said, just that switch and being intentional in my thought
right.
process, I began to look forward to it and enjoy it, and it helped me to be more consistent. And her family knew every day when she first got home, she'd get her change of clothes and she'd be out for a little while.
She'd get to go out. That's
She'd
awesome.
get to go out and be on her walk and decompress from the day. So those, again, those little things you can put into your day that don't have to take a long time, but I think about, I was thinking about today, with all this technology, right, to go along with an analogy. I was thinking with all of our technology, if it's not fully charged, right, you get some of those, this is in low battery mode, and some of the functions don't work. We're the same way. If we don't recharge ourselves daily, we're not going to be functioning as well. We're not bringing the best of ourselves, like I said on my video, to our daily responsibilities. So something like that, intentional, changing your thought process, helping you look forward to those things that you can put in your day to recharge.
Great.
Yeah, I think another thing is, especially with the teachers out there, like you said, we appreciate everything that you all did for our children, and it's time for you guys to go on recess. You know what I mean?
Take a recess break.
Take a recess break. Try to find that passion that made you go into that, but also take care of yourself. You do so much for our children, and especially with me working in the community, we see the impact that you guys have directly. So many stories about what teachers did for a student, and it's a great thing that all the teachers do. But now it's time for let your hair down. You get in trouble for a little bit and have a little bit of time to yourself, and really just falling back in love with why you're here doing what you're doing.
That's a great point, Maurice. I think many people, when you think of the most influential person in your life, many times teacher comes up. And so when I think about a teacher that may not be recharged, they may not be able to give their all to the student. And those students need that. They need you to be their champion. They need you to be their cheerleader. And so those are some great points on helping teachers to connect, take deep breaths. And I'm sorry for the teachers that have to work this summer, but for those that can be off, I just think the ones that have to work have to be creative, right? You have to be really creative in what you do. But the ones that can be off and take that recess break, great for you. Maybe this is a summer that you may choose not to tutor. This may be a summer that you go to Starbucks and work at Starbucks, or maybe do some non-traditional things that you want to do. You can follow your passion a little bit. So I always tell people, if you feel burnt out, maybe you should just stop for a minute and do something that will be energizing for you, that may not resemble what you do day by day.
Yeah, and I think you can incorporate that. I've just worked with so many creative teachers, like incorporating, and center directors and other staff, but just for those that have to continue to work, and thinking about your day. Just talking with my sister last night, I was thinking about just the work that teachers do, and over the last week it's been really nice to go out to my centers and see bulletin boards and tables that have notes of appreciation from parents, from directors, written by the parent on behalf of the child. That is so, in talking with my sister, that's so energizing for teachers. It's not that they need to, like my sister said, it's not like you need anything really huge, but just feeling appreciated and recognizing the ways that your work is meaningful that you never even realize. I think my challenge might be for the summer, for those schools that can, or daycare centers, leave that up for the summer and allow parents and other staff to continue to add to those.
Right. It doesn't have to be just 1 week, right?
Right. That can be very recharging in the middle of my day. That is self-care for me to stop and read a positive comment and think about the impact of the difficult work that I do each day. So that would be my another tip for self-care for teachers and recharging.
And I know that the two of you work and interact with teachers a lot more than I do in my role, but my mother was a teacher for over 40 years, and I know I was always really impressed with how excited she was every year to start the school year. And I was like, oh man, when I'm doing something for this long, I hope I still have that, amount of passion that she does. And I know that for her, she had this routine that she had for the summer. So she was a fortunate, that didn't have to work in the summertime. And so she had this whole routine. First 2 weeks of the summer, she had absolutely no obligations, no commitments, no social, anything, because it was just for her, unless it was something she wanted to do. If it was something that was like, oh, that sounds fun, then yes, but no obligation, nothing that she felt like she had to do. And then she started a project. There was always some home project that she wanted to do, whether it was build a shelf for her bathroom or paint a room or something just to give back to the house, because she'd been given a lot to her students all year long. So it was now let's give back to our own family. And then towards the end of the summer, she was always looking for some professional development. And I know not every teacher is interested in doing that over the summer, but for her, it was about like, I want new ideas, new strategies. She was particularly interested in that time of looking for like technology-based things to do in her classroom. So for her, learning new things and taking those ideas back. I feel like I'm the same way with therapy. Like I like going to trainings and I get energized by new approaches and research and things like that. So sometimes that stuff is good.
And I think that's, self-care is not one size fits all.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's picking and choosing what energizes me. If I'm dreading that thing, that's not self-care.
That's not self-care.
Right? What can I look forward to?
Right.
I know one of the things, when I first started out getting out of college, I was an assistant teacher, and we would always take the kids to these field trips, and there were amazing places, like we'd go to the aquarium or the Freedom Center or something like that, and I couldn't enjoy it the way I wanted to because I had to make sure everybody else was okay. So in the summertime, I would go back to these places and really start to learn, and then when I came back, I would be able to express to them the deeper, because some people, oh, it's fish, whatever, but
you were managing behavior, crowd control.
Exactly, but being able to go back and do some of that, of the activities that we place on the children, but we're able to actually go back and do it ourselves and get our own experience from it. It was very key.
Great idea.
It sure is.
Great tips for teachers.
Yes.
So we have another video. We hope you're enjoying our videos. Our staff have put so much effort into creating the right videos for the right moment. The next one is Healthy Tips and Habits for Teachers by Miss Becky and Miss Jessica. Enjoy our video.
Hi teacher friends, I'm here to give you some tips about how to make this summer your time to reset and recharge yourself, to prepare yourself for the upcoming school year and make sure that you are beating that burnout. So I'm going to give you some tips, and my number one tip is to get outside in nature every single day, because that's going to make you feel so much better when you get that fresh air. And my second tip is that you need to spend some time with your friends. Make sure that you are reconnecting with those that you haven't been able to see. During this past year, the pandemic has been so hard as far as being able to connect with our friends and spend some time, but getting out in nature and spending time with your friends is a great way to do that as well. Another thing that you can do is teach yourself something new, like flower arranging, cake baking. Just learn something that you have always wanted to learn, that maybe it's not super hard or super complicated, but just something that you've always wanted to know. Give yourself some time to do that and enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Another thing that you could do is try a new recipe. That's something that is easy, low stress. It's really accessible to anybody. It's not going to cost you a lot, and your family might love it. You could even have fun incorporating your kids and giving them jobs to help with that fun recipe. That's going to be a great bonding time as well. Another thing that you could do is just give yourself permission to do something that you love, that makes you happy. So I cut out coffee because this is my everyday thing that I give myself permission to do. I love it. Another thing is just taking time to, relax. You can do that. You can give yourself permission to do that and take care of yourself because you deserve it. Read a book. that's something fun that's accessible, go to the library, find those audiobooks if that's what you love to do, and just make sure that you make this summer your time to give yourself some time and make yourself your number one priority, because the more that you do that for yourself, the better you're going to be and more prepared for this upcoming school year. So thank you so much for listening to my tips, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jessica Pierce, and I'm an early childhood mental health consultant at St. Vincent Family Center. And today I have a question for all the teachers out there. Tell me if any of these sound like you. Are you someone that is constantly putting other people's needs above your own? Do you love your job but feel like there's never enough time or energy to get everything done that needs to get done? Do you know that you need some self-care, but it just ends up being another thing on your to-do list stressing you out? I know a lot of teachers, and I can say without a doubt that you are the most giving, intentional, and caring group of professionals there is. But I also know that if you don't see your needs as important as everyone else's, that time for self-care is never going to come. One reason we feel so depleted is that our self-care attempts are too big and too far apart. Like, we might get that breakfast in bed on Mother's Day, we might treat ourselves to a pedicure on our birthday, and we might get a girls' night out, like every 6 months or so. And we hope that these are enough to tide us over. But it's not. It doesn't work that way. Because the truth is that what you do on a regular basis is more important than what you do occasionally. Consistency is far more effective than intensity. This summer, I encourage you to find just one small thing that fulfills and recharges you and do it every day for a week. Some of you may already have an activity in mind, but if you are struggling for ideas, make sure you pick a habit that meets 2 criteria. Number 1, your habit should be something you want to maintain for the long term and something you can stick with and make a regular part of your life. Something as easy as brushing your teeth. But your habit also needs to be something that has a meaningful impact on your well-being. Something that will make you feel happier or more rested or more productive. Don't just pick something that sounds easy or fun, although it should be. But you want this self-care habit to be something that will really take a weight off of your shoulders and give you a real sense of satisfaction. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be meaningful to you. Remember, self-care isn't selfish. If you want to be the best version of yourself, which you deserve to be and everyone else deserves to meet, you have to prioritize your own needs. And you can do that through simple habits throughout your day.
Yeah. What great perspectives and ideas from our behavioral health care experts. I want to thank all of our team for sharing their perspectives and their ideas today on the videos that they prepared, on the panel with the virtual. Thank you all for sharing that. I hope you all as viewers enjoyed and found some tips that are helpful as you prepare and get ready for summer, which is right around the corner. I also want to thank again our sponsors who made today possible and made our Corcoran Award winner videos possible throughout the whole week. We are grateful for your continued commitment to the health and wellness of our children and families throughout the community. If today's virtual roundtable inspired or motivated you to want to do more to support our mission and our work, we would love for you to do that. And there are a couple different ways you can support our work, whatever is meaningful to you. First, you can share any of the tips and any of the activities that you learned today. We have stored all of our tips in we have a virtual toolkit on our website, and you can go right after this event and share that widely. Share with your colleagues, your neighbors, your family. We would love to be your partner And we're one phone call away if children need care or families need care. You can donate, invest in our work. We are so grateful for all of your investments to continue our work throughout the community. And we serve more than 5,000 children and families a year, and we need your help. We are so grateful for our generous Board of Trustees and excited to announce that they've come together and they are matching all donations up until midnight tonight. And you can go to donate now on our website at svfsohio.org, and you can donate now. They will match up to $35,000 for every donation we receive on our website or by check up until midnight tonight. You can also join our work and our mission by joining our team. We are recruiting. If you have a passion for this work and a passion to help families build better futures, we would love to have you join our team. You can go online. All of our open positions are listed there as well. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for all you do to support family and children every day in whatever your role. We hope you have a great summer. We hope you found these tips helpful. And if you registered for the event today, you will receive in your inbox a toolkit after this event this afternoon. Thank you and have a wonderful summer.